Hi, you're listening to the Rav Dessler Giving Podcast with me, Avram Ziedman. Join us as we weave together philosophy, psychology, and Kabbalah to uncover a new depth to what it means to being a giver. So in previous podcasts, we looked at the difference between giving and taking. A giver is full and wants to flow outwards, as opposed to a taker who feels hungry and is trying to draw into self. Okay, but looking at me, who I am right now, and I'm someone who has hunger, someone who wants to have ambition to draw more into self. How do I become a giver? How do I get from where I am today to where I want to be, which is to be someone who is happy and full, being able to flow and give? So in scientific studies, they have found that there's two types of motivation. There's something called intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation means that the desire comes from inside as opposed to the extrinsic motivation, which comes from the outside. I recently tried to lose weight and I didn't have enough self-motivation, so I made a competition with money. The thing is this, what science tells us is that extrinsic motivation doesn't last. If I want to lose weight because I get cash, then when that goes away, so does the motivation to lose weight. If it's just a competition, once the competition's been won, then it goes away. But if I was to have intrinsic motivation, it means I want the thing itself. I want to exercise because I just want to exercise. I enjoy the experience of exercising. I want to eat healthily because I enjoy having self-control. So too in the world of giving. If I want to be a giver, there is an intrinsic desire I want to be able to give, and there's an extrinsic one, which is I'm doing it for ulterior motives. The thing is this, it is possible to use extrinsic motivation to help me to do what I truly want to do. There is a principle. La'olam, always a person should do Torah and mitzvahs shelo lishma, selfishly, shemetoich shelo lishma ba lishma. Because if you do the process of doing things selfishly, ultimately it will lead to altruism. Meaning, if you want to be a giver, don't start saying, I'm not going to focus on the enjoyment. I'm not going to focus on anything other than I need to do the right thing, because this will not last. It won't last. Rather, concentrate on the pizza you're going to get when you come to a gift session. Concentrate on all the feelings of warmth and joy you'll experience when you manage to be able to do this act of charity and giving. Do that. And if you do have these extrinsic motivations, it can ultimately help you to be able to perfect yourself. But there is an extra detail which makes it a little bit complicated. Rav Dessler asks a question. He says, really, if you do things selfishly, ultimately that will lead to altruism? Is that really so? I mean, there's plenty of people who might do things for show. It doesn't affect them at all. Imagine I want to put on my social media status. Hi guys, look at me. Yeah, I'm here with this poor little kid over here. Smile. Here, I'm giving money. I'm paying it forward. And if they're only doing it for external reasons, it doesn't lead to altruism. So what do you mean? How can the rabbis tell us that if you do things selfishly, that will lead to altruism? It doesn't always. So here we have to look at the Hebrew. We have to go a little bit deeper. It says, a person should do things selfishly, shemitoich lo lishma ba lishma. Shemitoich, because through doing things selfishly, that will lead to altruism. But metoich means something more than that. The Hebrew word metoich also means embedded. And here's how you reread it. If your selfishness has embedded in it altruism, then out through your selfishness will sprout altruism. If that wasn't complicated, let me say it in a more complicated way. Only an altruistic act of selfishness leads to altruism. Huh? What? It's not so complicated. Here we go. If I have a true intrinsic desire, I want to do the right thing, and that is the source I want to do the right thing. I want to be a giver. Then use selfishness to assist you in your path. If, however, deep down, there is no intrinsic motivation, it is pure and solely extrinsic, you are only wanting to give to be able to look good, then that won't necessarily lead to anywhere. If I want to do the right thing, use as many motivations, external motivations as possible to get you to where you want to be. And if you do that, ultimately, slowly you can move away these external motivations and then do it truly for what it is that I just want to be a giver. It's a process. We start with external motivations and then we move closer and closer of doing it for the right purpose. In the next podcast, I want to be able to explore this a little bit further, how we can wean ourselves off the extrinsic motivation to get to the real core of who we are, that intrinsic motivation to be a giver. Until next time, be great, be a giver, use externals to help your internal desire to give. This podcast was proudly brought to you by Gift, where we're on a mission to inspire and enable lifelong giving. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to continue exploring the art of giving with us, please subscribe.